Hey, hey, hey. Hey, what's up? What's up? Hey, what's up, everybody? It's ya boy, Neon Peon, coming at ya with a fresh new YouTube channel. Yeah, man. I'm finally doing it. Finally getting off my ass. I woke up with a head cold, and I thought it's the best possible time to start recording my voice and recording my Minecraft videos that I'd been thinking about doing for a while. So yeah, I'm a little sick. You're welcome. Coming at you with what I'm hoping is going to be a really fun video series. I just some background. I am an animator by day, but by night I'm a sort of manic Minecraft builder. I don't really do it for any other reason than just to sort of relax at the end of a long day. I just really like the sort of meditative aspects of it, where you can just kind of chill out, just kind of build some stuff, and then you've kind of created this cool world or these interesting structures or environments that are they stick around, they last, and I can kind of revisit these worlds. So I absolutely adore Minecraft. It's despite all the other video games that I grab and I play around with, and I love video games of all types, but for some reason Minecraft just keeps calling me back. So I've done a lot of pretty big projects and fairly large builds on my server, and like I said, this has always been kind of a personal thing. I haven't really shared it with too many people, but yeah, I'm really excited to start a new project, and it's something I've been wanting to do for a while, which is sort of more of a Japanese themed kind of city. Not to be too precious about appropriating the culture, but I've done some European style cities and some Middle Eastern style, and just all different types of cultures. I haven't really done anything in sort of the Eastern Asian style, so it's going to be sort of a mishmash. Definitely, taking a lot of fun elements from Japanese culture, but also just kind of being sort of disparate, just trying out a bunch of different stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the idea, is that we kind of do sort of an Asian style city. Let me make the weather nicer here. So obviously, I just wanted to start by kind of constructing something, just kind of to set the tone. So we got this kind of big gate here, which is going to be sort of the main entrance to the palace grounds, and which will be here. And it'll kind of be this huge open area where demonstrations can be put on, or sort of like crowds can gather and listen to the emperor talk or whatever. But I just kind of want to have this really sort of nice prominent gate for people, and it's kind of a public space. Anybody can come. It's a pretty benevolent regency, I would say. I sort of took inspiration from a place in Japan I got to visit. I was lucky enough to visit, called Nara, and that was a fun place. There was lots of sacred deer that were terrifying and tried to eat me, because as soon as you buy crackers, the deer are they know what the crackers are for. So there's merchants who sell crackers to feed the deer, and the second they see that you've exchanged money with these cracker merchants, they're all on you. So that was pretty scary. But Nara itself was really cool, and they had this awesome gate, and there was sort of sculptures kind of in each pocket of the gate, kind of on either side. They sort of greet you, but it was quite, kind of intimidating. Like, it wasn't particularly friendly. I think it kind of, the impression people would get, as you go through the gate, makes you kind of feel small, and makes it feel like you're entering this world that's a lot bigger than you are. So I kind of wanted to get that sense. So, the sculptures in Nara are these beautiful wooden warriors. I find it sometimes hard to do good sculptures with Minecraft. I mean, it's just kind of, you throw a lot of stairs together and hope it works. So for this, I was actually very happy with how the snake turned out, and I used sort of the fence gate for the fangs. And on the other side, I just kind of had this weird sort of four-armed warrior guy. It's kind of like I don't know, a spider or something. I think he looks kind of cool, though. He's got his arms up there and everything. And then we got these kind of decorative terracotta tiles, which are, pain in the ass to put in, frankly. The way you have to, the angle that you place them at matters. So it's always a little tricky getting, a nice symmetrical layout for those, but overall kind of worked. And I'm trying to keep with a very warm color scheme, lots of reds, yellows, oranges, stuff like that, contrasted by the sky and the environment. So definitely going with lots of reds and lots of whites. So anyway, that's the gate, and then there was this kind of nice little sort of balcony area, and sort of, I kind of want the walls themselves to be these kind of ramparts that soldiers could run through if they ever needed to defend the palace. So it's not really, strictly speaking, public, but yeah, it's just kind of these places where the soldiers can defend. And I tried to kind of create this with the wood, this kind of sense of these support beams holding up the nether brick roof. And I think this is kind of a color scheme that's going to be pretty dominant throughout the town. I really like the acacia wood, the red clay, brick, and nether brick, and then acacia fencing as well. But really anything within the sort of, anything between a yellow to sort of like a maroon, and actually probably even some purples and pinks, sporadically. That's definitely going to be the color scheme, though, for the whole thing. And I want to try and give it a pretty sort of realistic sort of feel. But I do love the really striking red beams and pillars and stuff like that. So I built this gate. Mostly I just wanted something kind of pretty to look at while I'm doing all the sort of mind-numbing landscaping work, which is actually, I think I'm in pretty good shape. The big problem was just this kind of, there was this big mountain here in front of the gate, and so that's kind of, that's been taken care of. And then just sort of carving out these canals, that's a little bit, little bit mundane still, but I love the effect. And it's raining again. This shader that I just got with 1.13.2 is lovely, but man, does it get dark when it starts to rain. It's pretty depressing, which I actually kind of like. I mean, it's moody, but for the most part, when I'm building, I just want it to feel nice. I want it to be a nice place. Anyway, I digress. So most of the landscaping's done. At least for this middle area. Although I did kind of, I put in this sort of slope here coming down, and I'm not sure. I'm still kind of on the fence about whether I should just kind of keep it all level or add a bit of that the height variation. I mean, I think it's, I think it's more realistic to have a bit of that variation. Sometimes feels good, but other times too, I think just when you're kind of laying out the general city planning, it's nice to just have everything flat, and then you can kind of you can add the details and the variation later on if you feel like it's appropriate. I mean, here I definitely want to make sure the canals start higher up and then sort of slowly work their way down. So it does kind of make sense that it's higher up here, but I don't know. I'm still kind of figuring that part out. But yeah, definitely my idea for this main area, which is sort of marked by the four sort of main canal areas on each side, is that this would be sort of the main gathering space for the public. It's kind of like the riffraff come here. Lots of markets and sort of commercial areas where people can kind of sell their wares and stuff like that. So yeah, it's gonna be kind of that. Still like a plaza or some sort of square. And I think that's really going to be key here. Something I'm trying to stay conscious of is just sort of, I want to have some really cool buildings. I want to have some really neat areas for some indoor stuff and some marketplaces and shops and maybe like some artisan workshops. But I don't want to make it too crowded. I still want to really create this really nice sight line so that you're kind of approaching the palace. It's really kind of dominant and really prominent. And, there's lots of other cool buildings, but not feeling too claustrophobic. So honestly, I've got a lot of room to play with. This is actually bigger than I thought it was going to be. So I'm not too worried about that. I think I'm probably going to have room for everything, but I don't know. I just feel like this is the main center of town, and I want to make sure everything's feeling really good, and the proportions are really nice. And then my idea is that sort of to the sides here and kind of down in this area, it's going to get a little bit more dodgy, a little bit more cramped. There's going to be some sort of like, dark, crooked alleyways and sort of like, not necessarily, dangerous districts, but definitely kind of dense, kind of creating this more sort of higgledy-piggledy sort of buildings kind of wherever, less organized, as opposed to sort of the main center of town where I think everything kind of wants to have a nice symmetry and sort of nice balance and stuff like that. So, yeah, this is kind of like the more sort of like dense, maybe sort of like slightly poorer neighborhoods. Although, overall, I want every part of this city to feel quite nice. And definitely as we get kind of closer to the desert area, because I really like the savanna biome. Unfortunately, it's right next to the desert, which is, I'd love it if it was just kind of grass all the way out. But, I'm just kind of working with what got generated. Anyway, I want to do kind of in this area a couple of nice houses, do some really sort of like Japanese architecture inspired sort of households, maybe even some nice little gardens and stuff like that. Potentially a school here. You gotta have infrastructure and you gotta have education. And so these are the things that I'm thinking. And sort of this area here, originally I wanted kind of a big area to play with, and I really wanted to do some skyscrapers. I know this is kind of more of a traditional style city, but I kind of liked the idea of having sort of for the most part, there's a nicely preserved historic area, and then actually we get into some pretty full-on towers. And it's raining again. All right. So yeah, maybe doing some cool kind of skyscrapers inspired by various actual skyscrapers from the world, like do kind of like maybe like the Petronas Towers or like Taipei 101, that type of thing. I think still kind of taking inspiration stylistically from like pagodas and more traditional things, but I think going big with it, and like having this really cool skyline that's really like pretty impressive. So that, I love building really big towers in Minecraft, but I also feel like you kind of need like a good amount of lower density city around them so that they don't feel like they're just kind of sticking out in the middle of nowhere. And then I guess if I'm giving the full tour, which seems like I am, this would be sort of the port area. I want to do a bunch of different docks and just sort of like lots of cool ships that are moored, and like a pretty sweet lighthouse, I think. But again, just lots of docks, lots of cranes, lots of sort of warehouses, and just kind of generally kind of filling that in with lots of hardworking folk. And then something I really wanted to do, which I think this big sort of jutting out green area is going to be, is I want to do a casino. So I haven't done a casino in Minecraft yet, and I'm always loving to have projects that are quite quite grandiose in scale, that aren't just like generic apartment building or generic storefront, to have something with like a bit more purpose. So do sort of like a gambling floor and maybe a theater, and kind of having that all be here, and taking inspiration from, I played this game last year, played Ni no Kuni 2, which I thought was pretty average as far as JRPGs go, but there's one town that's obsessed with gambling, and I loved the art direction in it. So it's quite dark, but then almost sort of like neon signs. So I'm not sure quite how I'm going to achieve that. Probably a lot of like really bright glass and some other like lots of end rods, I think, just to kind of give it that sort of like neon feel. So really kind of bright and garish. And then obviously like the palace is going to be huge. Lots of big walls. Like I'm just going to kind of continue the walls and these patterns all around, and have lots of towers. I want it to feel very well defended. We got gates on either side, on the north and south side. Not as big as the eastern gate, but still adding that in. And doing sort of a barracks up on this hill here, which I'm pretty excited about. I think it'd be kind of cool. Sort of this fortress that's really sort of overlooking the town. Again, like I said, I think this is generally pretty benevolent sort of society. I mean, it could, it probably should be a democracy. I just love building throne rooms, though, man. I just want to build like big ass grandiose throne rooms that are like super over the top and garish. So sometimes it's got to be some sort of regency in place just to justify that type of build. I don't think, they'd be quite as nice. But again, benevolent. I think the barracks is more, it's not to sort of keep its own people in check. It's more just if anybody invades, they're here, and it's kind of the garrison is well positioned so that the soldiers can immediately get to the walls and to some of the watchtowers that I haven't built yet. And then so that's going to be there. And then I love the way that this generated. There's this nice little sort of like savanna sort of depression here. This is going to be a square, I think. And the idea is that it's going to be sort of this central location where you can go off and go up different kind of old rocky staircases to different temples and stuff like that. And this is kind of inspired by, again, I'm drawing a lot of inspiration from my trip to Japan. So Kyoto had these really gorgeous temples kind of on the hillsides, which were sort of on either side of the city. And so it kind of reminded me of what's going on here, how it's kind of flanked by these really cool hills here. So I wanted to put a lot of different types of shrines and temples, and probably do some graveyards as well. Oh, and as I say that, it got really spooky again. All right. Yeah, there's probably a way that I can control the weather, but I'm really lazy, and I don't look into these types of things properly. But yeah, so I think just kind of having some temples up here, and then this whole plateau here, which is full of pigs at the moment, is probably going to be some sort of like Japanese style garden. And I'm going to do some looking into just some classical kind of Japanese gardening philosophies. I definitely want to have like a pond up here that kind of cascades down into the canal system down here, and then also a shrine and some nice stuff here, but also just have this be a really cool place to overlook the the city, and you know, once this is all full of buildings, I think it's going to look really cool. And again, I'm really liking this shader. It's got some really cool, the god beams are ooh, they're very nice. So I'm digging that. And yeah, honestly, you know, I've got a lot of big grandiose ideas about what I want where and how I want everything. But it's just a starting place. It's just some simple guidelines. So, you know, I don't know exactly where it's all going to land. This is just sort of the first set of ideas that I have. So honestly, I really hope you guys like this type of content. I hope you like what I've been building so far. I'm going to try and post videos fairly regularly. You know, I'm going to do my best. I'm hoping that this won't start to feel like a job, because, you know, then it might not be as fun. But I think this is going to be a really, really cool project, and I think it's going to be really sweet to have you guys on board for the ride. So, yeah, I don't know, just hit me up. I don't want to be one of those guys, but definitely, yeah, if you like this, if you want to see more, or if there's anything I could be doing better, just hit up the comments. Yeah, you know, smash that subscribe button, because that would be super cool. Although honestly, I don't expect much. And you know, if you guys just check in periodically, that's cool. I'm mostly just doing this for my own purposes, and I just kind of want to like have a record of it. So yeah, that's it for today. I'm gonna actually start to I think kind of put buildings in, and sort of just generally do sort of, I shouldn't say put buildings, put kind of the floor plans in, or the footprints of buildings, using some carpet, which is kind of the technique that I use just to try and get like a general sort of mapped out idea. So I think I'm just going to start with this main square. I'm not going to get too focused in on the surrounding areas just yet. I want to get this main area looking good. So I'm going to start to lay out where I think the buildings are going to go. So I'll probably update you guys once I've done that, and take you through some of my thought process, and then probably record myself building it. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked. And I feel like I've been wrapping this up for the last 10 minutes. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Peace out, y'all. And yeah, be good to your loved ones.
I keep in shape and do my physical fitness. Your head's numb, so your brains are miss this. Pick 'em up, eat 'em up, pick 'em up, beat 'em up, pick 'em up, pickle head, pick 'em up, pick each